Kaz, I appreciate you doing the show this week. The audience wanted more bearded white guys, and I mean, you're white. You have a tremendous beard, so thanks for stepping up, buddy.
Hey, man, those are two demos I can definitely hit, but I obviously ignored my contract demands for being here tonight. Why don't we have more women on the show? Like, don't they draw? I mean, where's Kate? Where's Kate?
I mean, that's a JJ issue. Again, I don't know why people keep coming to me with these JJ issues. Kate, I don't know. Kate does like 2 shows already. They don't draw. That's the thing, Cass. They don't actually draw. That's a myth that is perpetuated by others, but they don't actually draw.
Nah, the numbers don't lie or whatever, right?
Exactly. You get it, Cass. You're a smart man. Good talk, Cass.
What else I was supposed to do? I forgot. I told you I forgot.
Good talk, Cass. And I said, psychosis.
This one's for all the pals and O'Neill. Such a feed from the jaws of victory with the popcorn and the chubby cheese. Distraction. Hey, podcast. Pure filth. Wins and losses don't mean shit. So what's Joseph Grinch as I do his bit? Distraction. Hey, roll up. 1, 2, 3.
That went about as well as you could expect.
Yeah, I had it until I didn't. You know what I mean?
You had it. You were right there.
I had it until I didn't have it. Yeah.
Yeah, you just missed the punchline on that one, Cass.
I should have wrote it down.
You probably should have wrote it down.
Should have pulled a rock and wrote it on my hand. So when I go out there to cut the promo, I could be like, just look down at my arm or whatever.
Well, that actually would have been a better bit. That should have been the whole opening segment. You just reading the script.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I see why I haven't been brought back since July now. I fucking right out the gate, man. That song was nice though. I got to dance to it.
Kylo Voss doing the song, the man right there. Oh man, and Cass is a technician, already. Not a promo guy. Guys, welcome everyone to The Distraction. It is not our usual time slot. We got bumped by Sean and Denise. Thanks for the lead in, guys. We appreciate that. I'm here. Joseph's here. Joseph, how are you?
How am I? I'm okay. I'm tired. I don't really know what we're talking about today. I'm concerned about our increasingly dwindling cold opens.
It's all going somewhere. It's just
don't spoil it though, brother. You know. Yeah. I'm concerned about my friend Cass, who seems somewhat unaware. Seems somewhat unaware of where he is and what he's doing, but that's fine. But other than that, I'm great.
Cassidy Haynes from Body Slam is here.
I'm very on brand. It's very on brand to me to not know what I'm doing. So.
We're not going to do that on air. Cass, how are you?
I'm good, man. How have you been?
I'm well. Guys.
Yeah, man. It's been a long time, guys. I missed you.
I mean, it's not like we don't talk every single day.
I know.
Cass has become a big star in his absence, to be fair. True. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
His rate has gone up. His rate has gone up tremendously since, so.
It was all part of the negotiations, the contract. It took us a long time. It took us a long time to work out a deal. But we're good. So man, you guys have been enjoying me getting my chest beat up? Have you been enjoying my series?
That's been something, man. Listen, it's one thing to do that, but to have JD Drake being one of the guys doing it, that's different level. That's craziness. I don't know.
I got to tell you something. You're gonna, if you like that one, you're really going to enjoy the one with AJ Gray, because he literally turned me into King Hippo. From Mike Tyson's Punch Out. I flew back like 10 feet and slid across the floor.
I believe it, actually. Yeah, I believe that.
Guys, get your... Oh, go ahead, Cass.
No, I was just saying, we did Effie right before that one. I did Colby Carrino before. It was like the 4th in a row, too, man. So I was already just beat up and bloodied. But, yeah, he enjoyed every bit of it. He had a good time with it. I think you'll enjoy it, too.
Guys, get your super chats in. All the super chat money is going to charity today. We will be donating that. JJ says, hello to my favorite big stars. Hope you're well. Hope the storm is not too much. I think it's calmed down, unfortunately. Welcome, Breaking Scoopster. Cass Sands. Oh, Cast Sands of Time was a good show. Punctuation, JJ. What are we doing here? Love the wrestling. Showhead Logic. Much love. I don't know how much we'll be talking about that stuff, but Distraction Cold Opens. You get what you get, I suppose. Says JJ.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose. I suppose.
Indeed.
Rank says, once again, the Fed counter programs the competition as they did last Friday. They will get fucked. I'm with the Distraction. They aggressively countered our program.
But we cowered though. We didn't do the TK. Like if we're being honest, I did the TK before he did, right? Because I did the tweet where I was like in response. I can confirm we did not end up doing what TK did though. We just cowered to like 2 hours later.
Yeah.
Seems bad, but
would have made for much better content.
Yeah,
but
it would. But here we are.
Yes. Cass, did you watch the Crown Jewel?
Dude, there were camels.
Yeah. All right, there were camels. Yeah. That seems to be everyone's big takeaway. So that's great.
Yeah. I mean, all
right, that's Crown Jewel review, everybody.
Thanks for being here.
For that, yeah. Ryan Sullivan says, "Cast the man with 1,000 chops." Let's talk about Tony Khan and Eric Bischoff. You love Tony Khan, right, Cass? You guys are best buddies.
I think he loves me. I think is what it is. No, I haven't seen him since Chicago, but I guess I'll see him at Full Gear probably. Not as part of the scrum.
You don't sound like bitter or agitated about that.
Nah, man, eventually I'm going to get ungrounded, but it's all right. I'll be there. I got Rampage. I'll be there for Rampage. I got media for Rampage, so I'll be there for that. And then I got a ticket. I already got a ticket for Full Gear anyway, so we're good.
We're all supposed to meet. We're supposed to
room
at Full Gear.
Yeah, but that was when it was in
Full Gear, and then they
moved it was in St. Louis. Yeah.
Don't remind me.
I know. Joseph was supposed to be there. It was going to be a great time, and
I've never been to St. Louis. I went through Minneapolis once, so I don't think that counts. So this will be fun. So it's like, hey, let's go in the winter because Minneapolis, so it'll be cold. And
I mean, it looks like a great show. And that's not even me doing a thing about the leaked card. That's just like watching the TV. You can tell kind of the rough directions. Like, if you're looking at a kind of a scenario, we know we've got Hangman and Kenny. FTR and the Lucha Bros feels like something we can kind of pencil in, I think, after the angle last week.
Yeah.
I mean, if you give the Lucha Bros and FTR 20, 25 minutes, you're going to get something pretty special, I think. They had a match on Dynamite last year that I think was pretty frustrating for a lot of people. And that was in that time where FTR, you could tell they were kind of finding their feet in AEW. The last couple of months, they've looked as good as ever. They're like fully back, and they've kind of made that part of the TV, arc. So that match is going to be incredible. And the other thing with that is, I kind of buy that FTR could win that match. I'm not saying they will, but it adds a certain level of, there's some stakes there that it isn't just another title defense of the Lucha Bros by any means. I could buy it, but I don't think they will, but I could see it.
No, I think because it's gonna be title versus title, so you'd imagine that Lucha Bros are probably gonna win that match. It seems like we're setting up for Moxley and Danielson based on the bracket. I mean, unless you're gonna get really bold and do Moxley and Kingston, like. That would be the only other play I see going there. Or Orange and Danielson?
Yeah, it feels like Mox and Danielson. I think the real question is, do they go to Bryan and Archer, or do they use the Kingston match to build up that Moxley deal? I was kind of playing with this the other night on Patreon. Like, the idea that you get in a situation with the way that Bryan's been wrestling where he grabs a heel hook on a guy like Kingston, who can establish that he's got that bad knee, and he sells that in 1 every 2 matches, right? Bryan grabs a heel hook on him, pulls it, and Mox is almost more offended by that shit than Eddie is. Like, I could see you using something like, because right now, Jon Moxley is a character who's basically going out of his way to find stuff to be mad about. He's angry at every turn, right? More than ever, he's on edge. I like the idea of that. Archer and Bryan's cool, don't get me wrong, but I think the Kingston one is obviously unbiased, but that stands out to me as the tournament could give us that. The final kind of feels... I don't mean dismissive, but it kind of feels like a lock, to be honest. But it's just how we get there.
I think we get there, whether it's Kingston or Archer. It does make more story sense if it's Kingston. And I know you're really behind that match, Joseph. I'm worried if it's Archer for you, buddy. I really am.
I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. I think Archer and Bryan is a great match. I think I probably would make a bigger show of it on social media for like the pop, for the content, than I actually would care. But like, don't get me wrong, I would be pretty fired up if by the end of Saturday night they had it running like, Kingston versus Bryan was next Wednesday or whatever. I'd be pretty fired up. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm open-minded, really, even being honest.
Rest of Full Gear, based on kind of, it seems like the way they're going, something with Super Click and Jurassic and Adam Cole and Christian Cage. Sorry, so Cole and Cage, and then Super Click or Young Bucks against Lucha Express. Jesus, Jungle Express. I'm all over the place today. Apologies.
I do that a lot too. The Luchasaurus thing is confusing. Cass, what jumps out on the Full Gear lineup that we expect? Not the one that was leaked. We're definitely not talking about the one that was leaked. We're talking about what we expect.
I mean, probably the women's, whatever you're gonna have the finals for the. No, the finals for the TBS.
No, the finals is
that's
TBS
in January.
in
So
January.
what we got going on? We got a women's match though. I think, right? I saw on that fake card that we saw on his notepad. Was it?
Well, I don't know. We're definitely not commenting on that card, but yeah, I think there may be a Thunder Rosa Jade Cargill match, maybe.
It was Britt's working Ty, right?
Yes, which is a very interesting one to circle in terms of how good that match is, because Britt's title defenses have been like, I think a couple of them are a little shaky. I love the Statlander match. And Ty is someone I think everyone agrees has got really good, and she's really fun to watch, but like how that will translate to a 12-minute, 15-minute pay-per-view match, we're going to find out, I think, at Full Gear. I hope it goes well, obviously, but it'll be interesting. That's, I find it hard to predict those deals. I didn't think the Statlander match was going to be as great as it was. I loved that match all out. So it'll be interesting to see. I'll be honest with you. I think Ty is someone that's been on TV, so I don't mind it as a title match, but like when you compare that to, like some of the other title matches, it feels like there's a lot less. And again, they've got a month, so I don't want to jump the gun and criticize it, but it doesn't feel quite the same, right?
I don't
it's a
know.
shame.
I guess, yeah, because they did get pushed back.
Not a month, that's too much. But like, how many TVs? 6 TVs? 5 TVs?
Something like that.
They got some time, and I guess my concern is, the Statlander match, as great as it was, the build for that was like she was the top contender. That was the build, right? And that's fine sometimes, but it's too common. I like Ty Conti a lot. I don't think she's going to change. I don't think they're going to have Ty out there cutting these kind of killer promos, So hopefully the Anna Jay thing will kind of set the stage for a more personal conflict between those two. That's my hope anyway.
Right, Sullivan says, not sure why, but I'm thinking Thunder Rosa versus Jade, but it'll be short. Probably because they got a lot of matches on that card.
Yeah. That's good speculation from Ryan. He's definitely not commenting.
And like Thunder Rosa might go and be like, I got 20 minutes out of Camille. Give me 20 minutes for Jade Cargill. And Tony's gonna be like, do you know how long this show is already? Like, I don't know if we can do 20 minutes. Who is Punk wrestling that definitely wasn't listed on the sheet of paper?
Yeah, I'm actually not going to say that name because I would never have predicted it. So, I'd still like them to go back to the Team Taz dynamic with Ricky Starks. Seems like they're not going to for a while. That's what I would like. It's interesting. Punk's in a really interesting place. I don't really know what the kayfabe reason is for him not being in the tournament, other than him just like, if he explained it as he didn't want to be in the tournament, that's whatever. But I actually like the way they've used him. I'm not on board with the kind of, the slander and such. I get it, but I'm not with it. However, it does make him hard to kind of book in a program at this point because it feels like he should be in like a main event program, right? But who's the name for that? It's hard.
Cass, without naming the name on the sheet of paper, what are your
ideas? You think I remember the sheet of paper?
True.
You think I can actually remember? I was going to ask. I don't even remember who it was supposed to be. I'm not going to lie. So, who do I think it could be? This is going to be a blind shot in the dark. I don't even remember. Was it somebody? Fuck, I don't know, dude. Who? I don't remember what the card is. I'm worse at this, bro. Predictions and remembering things. Are you kidding me? I didn't bring notes. You didn't tell me anything about today.
Clearly.
I was like, so what are we doing? You're like, it'll be fine. That's really how I prep for this. I was like, okay, so I can prep for this by watching Crown Jewel, which we talked about with covering camels. So now I'm like totally in the dark. But
I personally think, this is just me, I think they should book CM Punk with the head of the table, the bunny. That's my genuine take. That's what I would run this program. I'd have them do a program about who's the true ratings drawer of the program on last Friday night. That's what I'd go with. But Unconventional, I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Joseph, you're a Bischoff guy. You're a TK guy. Whose side are you on?
I mean, listen, before I go any further, I actually am a Bischoff guy. I enjoy Eric Bischoff, and
I do.
you know, if that's like I'm not going to say until I'm an expert on his past, so I apologize if that's actually bad. It might be, but like I enjoy him, and I think he's part of wrestling history. Is really fun and exciting, and he has this. It's an awesome story, the WCW story. Like the way that he pulled that thing up and then it just plummeted. Like, and I don't even say that as an insult. It is genuinely one of the great stories pro wrestling has ever produced. It's incredible. I get the sense, however, that his feelings were a little bit hurt by some of Tony Khan's comments, and I think when Tony was kind of making a point of that stance of like, we're going to do WCW without all the shitty stuff WCW did, and we're not going to let our young guys go. As much as that's like common rhetoric for us and those of us that cover wrestling and talk about wrestling, those in the chat, like, I think that stuff still hurts Eric because I don't think he really believes that's why it went wrong. And I'm not, I don't know, whatever. He was on the inside of that deal. Like, whenever it comes up, the idea that he didn't turn the roster over and bring the young guys out, he kind of shoots it down. And I think he's taken it was, well, you wasn't there, Tony. Like, you don't know. And I think his way of saying that without saying it was getting real mad about AEW doing stuff that it feels like Eric Bischoff would completely co-sign in a different time. I don't know, man. I think, and I say this with complete self-awareness because I'm guilty of it too. When you sit in front of a microphone a lot every week, sometimes you're going to give takes that like really don't need to be given. I've done it. I'm sure we can all say we've done it. And like Eric Bischoff's behind the microphone a lot, and like I'm sure he believes it, but does he really need to be doing like these kind of big grand stances? Like it wasn't that deep to me, but bless Eric. I think he's pretty clearly like in the wrong here. I know I'm going out on a limb on that, right?
Like Tony even called him out on like he's just doing a talking head thing where he says an opinion and then it creates controversy out of it, and that's what it is. Like, does Eric, I wonder how much of what he says with that does he believe on that? Like, does he actually think like, oh, Tony should stay quiet and not say anything and shut up and wrestle, whatever? He's like making a whole t-shirt out of this. Like, they're obviously cashing in as much as they can on this. Like, does Eric actually believe this is what Tony Khan should do? Or is he just giving this devil's advocate or just against opinion as a way to kind of, again, drum up interest for himself and knowing that like, oh yeah, people are going to know that I'm being a hypocrite on this. I mean, he even said, I know the hypocrisy in this, and the difference is, like the difference is I was going against them every single week in this war. You just went against them for 30 minutes. So like he recognizes some of this, but he is obviously leaning into the other side of like, just shut up and wrestle.
Yeah, I don't know, Kers. What do you think? What do you think Eric's motivation is out on this?
I mean, he went through it once, so he might be trying to give some decent advice, at some point too. You know what I mean? Like, just, like, hey, don't do what I did and make the same mistakes I did. Also, too, by, I don't know, just like you said, just shut up and do what you're doing. You were doing just fine. But I enjoy it. I like shit talking, obviously, and I like, controversy, and I like competition. So I enjoy it, but I definitely see where he's coming from, being like, all right, man, just shut up and do what you're doing.
The thing with it is he says it a lot. This is not a new take from him, like about the head-to-head thing. And I get it. I do understand it. But the thing that he's missing, obviously, is Tony Khan's shit talk really ramps up when WWE opts to go head-to-head with AEW. Yeah. So, like, you could reasonably argue that Tony Khan has no intention of doing the head-to-head shit, and he only does it as like a response. The way that the company dynamics currently is basically WWE will do stuff, I don't want to say silently, but they'll like make a move. Like they'll move a show here, or they'll do this, or they'll do that, or they'll do stuff behind the scenes. And AEW's response has generally been Tony Khan just like publicly dunking on it. That can go two ways. It went. I think Friday was clearly like a triumph for him. That whole thing. I'll be honest with you. I'm not saying it was a shift in the landscape because it'd be hyperbolic, but like I think it was pretty significant that he kind of shit talked them into a battle that he like kind of won. That I didn't see that coming. I thought they were going to lose handily. Again, viewership, demo. The head-to-head, I think, was pretty impressive from AEW's point of view. For me, anyway. That's just my opinion. So, I don't know. I gotta be honest, firstly, I don't like the sharp and wrestle, like what that's kind of a spin of is very, that's to me a dangerous waters to go into anyway.
Yeah.
But the idea, my biggest problem with it, because the core idea is the notion that they're the ones that aren't paying attention to their own product is kind of laughable. And I say this on an evening where, like, from what I can gather, WWE had a good show tonight, so all hell. But like, if either half of this equation needs to spend more time improving their own product, it ain't Tony Khan. Like, whether you like AEW or don't, they're swinging for the fences every week and try to put on the best show they can. So I don't know. I don't want to sit here and, like, I'm not going to do the thing where I come on and go, like, Bischoff failed at this. Like, that's whatever, man. Like, I sit here and give my opinion. He's more than entitled to give his because he's a lot more, educated on it than I, clearly. So I'm not going to do the thing where I pretend him having a bad time in TNA disqualifies him. That's bullshit. But I will say that I get the sense if he's being honest with himself, Eric's not telling the complete truth here in terms of his actual opinion on it. That's my read. I don't know.
Ricardo says TK and Eric B to a 30-minute draw. I find the dynamic like kind of weird and interesting because I obviously don't know the Bischoff and Tony Khan relationship. I would think it's not bad considering Bischoff has been on their television multiple times and done many things with them. So like coming from Bischoff, not only from the like he said, the kind of hypocritical standpoint of, what are you doing shit talking in this war? But I thought they were on just like kind of okay terms. And so I wouldn't like expect Bischoff to really even say anything like this. And I'm sure Tony would welcome back to TV for a pop and they can maybe do something, but I figured Bischoff would almost have more respect for Tony than he's kind of giving him with all of this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like he doesn't have any respect for him, but I feel like it would be more given their history and their dynamic and what Tony is actually doing. So that's why I thought it was kind of weird that Bischoff would say these things.
The thing with that is, and it's this topic, let's be honest, we haven't got a lot to talk about, so we might as well just talk about this in kind of as much detail as we can. He's pretty regularly, he'll put AEW over, but he's also very, very often like, he brings that perspective of, and it's a common perspective whether you share it or not, of like, look at the ratings they're fighting over, right? Neither guy's winning. It sucks. Wrestling's doomed, which I don't share that belief. I think that television has changed and linear eyeballs is a different thing now. But I agree with you, but I also think on a human level, there is this element of it's the sports coach that got his team into the playoffs and fucked up in the finals. It's Mark Jackson watching Steve Kerr hold that championship.
That's where I was going. Yeah.
Yeah. And, after a while, it gets really annoying, and maybe that's me, projecting or looking for stuff that isn't there. But like, I'd imagine that there is a part of Rick that every time he reads a take that's basically, AEW is the good of WCW without the bad. He's probably like, fuck this, man. We were doing 5 million views, and I get it. I understand. But Hannah mentioned in the chat, and she's like, it's absolutely true. And it goes under the radar. Eric was the head of a promotion that was underneath the networks. Like the finances of that company were a mess, and not all of that's on Eric. In fact, a lot of it was just on the way that Turner run that company. The whole thing was like way above he couldn't deal with that. That is what it is. But it is very, very different from TK, who's like created the promotion, and it's like his thing. That's different to Eric being hired, the head man. It's just a different dynamic. I think. Listen, man, I'll be real with you. In an ideal world, I think Eric gets himself back in the game and fucking buys the NWA or some shit, and we can really have some fun. Because this podcast deal can only go so far, right?
Can Bischoff and Jarrett coexist? Could they work together?
Can they coexist?
Yeah.
Probably.
I really don't know like what their actual.
They're good. Yeah.
Okay.
They're good because the thing about Bischoff is, and I don't know if people believe him, they don't have to, but he's basically made it clear that like the TNA thing is not. People are kind of unfair to him with that TNA.
Yeah, he takes no responsibility for that stuff.
I was always 50-50. Jeff Jarrett kind of co-signed that and was like, he was just there to be a Hulk, man. Like Hulk wanted Eric with him because everyone always has this perception that he came in like head of creative, and I don't think Eric wanted to work there. So, here's what it is. I don't know, Cass. Have you worked at TNA Wrestling?
Man, that Pluto, I still watch a lot of that Pluto channel TV.
Oh, wow.
Still on. But they've been showing way too much not recent, but like the last 5 years. I'm like,
You want some Chris Harris, brother? You want some...
give me some Asylum. You know what I mean? I want to be back in Nashville.
TNA moment, Cass.
Okay, can you name one? I don't know. He did something. He did
when he chastised the entire X division at the in the parking lot.
Man, I don't know. That whole time period was very forgettable for me, honestly. For TNA, I don't know. I didn't enjoy that stretch.
What about when he had to on his first night? They had to do they went the full Russo route where he tore the script up and was like,
he was like, "Fuck this 6-sided ring."
Yeah, like even when Jeff Jarrett rewatched that on the My World pod, he was like, "This has got Russo all over it. Like this is 100%." You know, I don't know, man. It's the TNA stuff. Like, look, I'm not saying he's not blameless, but when I see people dunking on him with that, it's like, listen. If we're going to say Eric isn't allowed to have an opinion on AEW because he sucked as the head of TNA, it's like we should probably stop talking about wrestling because we have no qualifications whatsoever to discuss any of this. Like, I respect his opinion. I just think he's wrong in this case. I guess is my conclusion. But that's what it is. What it is.
It's a weird take because you said it, Joseph. Of Tony Khan really is kind of silent about this stuff, except when WWE aggressively makes the move. Like they just ran their show on Friday. I mean, yeah, they did the buy-in, they did Danielson and Suzuki. Like they added some of that stuff, but Rampage, they could have put Danielson and Suzuki on Rampage. They could have been like, you know what? Like we'll just put this on Rampage instead of on a buy-in show, and we'll put Punk and Seidel. That'll be the buy-in stuff. Like they could have switched things around. Like they drummed up a little bit more interest with the buy-in, and I think Tony, I said it before, I think he made a good move, like rallying once, SmackDown said, oh, we're doing an extra 30 minutes. Like instead of just ignoring it and being like, yeah, we're just going to do our show and it's fine. We don't really care what they're doing. Instead, he was very outspoken about all of this stuff and really rallied the AEW troops around everything. And like it paid off because that fan base clearly tuned in and, they won the demo head to head, and Ruby Soho and the Bunny are now the big dog and the beast incarnates of the professional wrestling world. But I thought Tony made a good move rallying, and I thought he made a good move just running the show as he did instead of trying to book everything. Cass? Well,
they run the tape anyway before Rampage. Like they're already going to be doing something, so why not just since it's not going to cost them anything just to put it on YouTube, they're already going to be taping it, and people are ready anyway to do their Dark Elevation or whatever they taped before. So yeah, I mean, why not, right?
I think we're at a very interesting point where we're basically, I think that AEW and Tony Khan is a lot further along than he ever could have imagined. And he's starting to realize that, like, there may not be the response coming that people online expect, Tony, it's easy to forget, but 2 years ago, when Dynamite was, 3 weeks old, 2 weeks old, whatever, if I'd have listed to you the amount of professional wrestlers they've acquired since then that were then under contract with WWE, you'd have been like, what happened in WWE? Well, the answer was a global pandemic. Now, that didn't mean they had to cut guys, but that was their reason. That was their excuse, right, to get off those contracts. And a difference in, philosophy, they changed their whole outlook. I just think, though, we're all kind of in this bubble and we're living it every day. It's like, I think it's easy to lose sight of how much things have changed. I think if you put those rosters side by side, I think the folks over at Raw and SmackDown are in a ripping for a rude awakening creatively. Not the talent. The talent's great, but, I just think the landscape's changed. And I think when you see a supersized SmackDown, battling away with just an episode of Rampage where the biggest match and featured Matt Sydal, and I love Matt Sydal, but he's not, a star, so to speak. Star talent, no doubt, but he isn't a guy that's on TV every week by any means. I think it's dawning on everyone that, there isn't this big shift on its way, man. This is, this isn't 1996. I don't think the folks at WWE are, I honestly don't know if they're capable of adjusting creatively. They're just going to keep doing shit like this. And Tony Khan's response is, we're not going to get pushed around. So, this go ahead. This CEO's got the better show. Better show's subjective, obviously. But what I'm saying is, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't think WWE has this complete creative facelift on its way, man. I think they think their show's better. And Tony Khan realizes the consensus is doesn't agree with them, and he feels like they can win this war. What winning the war means, I don't know, guys. This, that time will tell. I don't know what any of that means at this point, but it's important to, we have to take note of how much this wrestling world has changed over the last 2 years. I mean, look at this talent pool.
They definitely don't have a creative shift, because their creative shift, their initial response was, again, when were Heyman and Bruce hired?
So it was Heyman and
Heyman and Bischoff.
Bischoff. That was like June, July of 2019.
19? Okay, so before AEW actually got on television.
Yes.
All these years run together for me. So they did that, and that was supposed to be this big creative shift and everything. And Bischoff lasted a couple weeks, and Heyman lasted a year, and then they just brought in Bruce, who it's he's been in the trenches and everything and whatnot. But these philosophies have not evolved from what they were doing whenever in the 90s and stuff. And the problem is you could do a big shift in the 90s, and you can go to Attitude and all of this stuff, and you can try to leech off of the ECW stuff and whatnot, but they're not doing that now, because they're a worldwide company and they're publicly traded, and they're trying to appeal to kids and everything. So they're trying to do that in the most, they want to say shit on television, and they curse a little bit more, and it's look, Attitude is back, we curse. And it's that's not why that era is as fondly remembered. It's not because Austin was just cursing and drinking beer every episode. It's you guys were actually doing some halfway decent stories, and a lot of people were over, and a lot of people were involved in stories. They're legitimately, and I don't think it's good, but they're legitimately trying this with NXT 2.0.
Yeah.
They're trying to give everybody a character. They're trying to give everybody a story, and they're trying to do a bunch of different stuff. Again, is that good to do what they're trying to do, this 90s stuff, in 2020? No, but that is what they're at least trying in NXT 2.0.
So before I go any further, I have not watched a full episode of that show. So my opinion is not educated on this. This is just my read from the outside looking in. To me, NXT 2.0 is an homage to the mid-90s professional wrestling television, the same way that NWA Power is an homage to mid-80s professional wrestling television. And I think the idea that that's the roots to a new boom, or this is, we're going to read, we're going to get characters and gimmicks back. I don't know, man. I don't know if we're the guys that were. I was definitely behind this curve for sure, or slow to it. When you look at NXT's critical success in the mid 2010s, and then you look at AEW's critical and commercial success over the last 2 years, it feels like we've got pretty good evidence as to where the actual wrestling world is trending. And I don't know if it was the answer was, Adam Cole is short, so maybe him and the Undisputed Era should never come to the main roster. I don't know if the answer was Andrade Cien Almas is a mid-card guy because of a language barrier, even though he's got the best manager in professional wrestling. I don't know if the answer was Aleister Black has to have a character, so we're going to sit him in a dark room and light differently behind him sometimes, I'm not saying I have the answers. I don't think anyone does. But if you look at the last 6 years of pro wrestling, it sure feels like NXT was a lot closer to the answers than WWE. That show may not have been palatable for mainstream. I don't know. But it also was was in Full Sail. There should have been lessons learned from NXT's success critically. And they've done the opposite. They've shunned those progressions. They've actually gone backwards. And you can like or dislike NXT 2.0. I don't watch it. So again, I'm not here to say I have a correct opinion on it. I'm just saying, when I see Adam Cole on AEW TV, it is very apparent to me that maybe the Undisputed Era should have been one of the top acts on Raw for the last 3 years. Maybe when Johnny Gargano was the top babyface in NXT, he should have been up there wrestling Bryan, for the WWE title. I don't know. And, we could sit and pick holes in those guys' talents if we want to, but what's over is over. And I just think, I don't want to do the out of touch thing, but man, it kind of feels that way, huh?
Imagine just Undisputed Era the night after WrestleMania, not 36, because that was held in front of nobody. The night, who won the title? 35, Rollins. Imagine Undisputed Era night after 35 just attacks Rollins instead of him entering to a shitty feud with Baron Corbin, because I'm pretty sure that's what he ended up doing.
Yeah.
they jump him, and that's your hot angle coming off of WrestleMania. Like all these guys, they could have hit on the main roster. I think if they were in better hands, because we saw what happened when a lot of these guys ended up going to the main roster and it didn't work out. Like Drew is a success, but Drew, I feel like he was always going to be a success based on where he was when he first entered the company as the chosen one, and his look and his size and everything. These other guys, you would think that like Alistair and Andrade, like they have good looks, they have unique looks.
Listen, man, they've missed on all of the above because you know they missed on guys like Braun and Rusev. You can't, they can't be trusted with any of these guys. But I don't know. I agree with you that Drew is a success, but what does that mean? Like, does he move any of the metrics? Does he have good matches?
Nobody there does.
Right. So then you get into the kind of systematic issues of. I don't know, Cass. I don't know what you think, mate, but I was talking to someone about this the other day, and I think people underestimate that they actually are like a couple years of creative retooling away from regaining the audience's trust. I think it would take someone to come in and say, we're not going to do a DQ finish for a year. We can't. We have to just get that out of the audience's mind. We're not going to do a bait and switch. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do the can they coexist. They're taking booking tools that are actually very useful, like a DQ finish, like a can they coexist, and they're doing them so much that people hate them and never want to see them again. It's difficult. I don't know, Cass. What do you think on this? It's a big topic. But it's interesting, right?
I think it would help if the people involved in creative were more from the wrestling world. I mean, I get that they're hiring people from outside. But I think that's why you have so many misses and these people that don't understand what to do for wrestling talent because they're not wrestling people. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you can look at some of the, even Freddie Prinze Jr. when he was there, he's not a wrestling guy, but he loved wrestling. You know what I mean? He was familiar with the product. He knew what wrestling was. And that was what one of the best ratings had been. You had like Patrice O'Neal working at the time too, and other people outside, but they're all people that liked and loved wrestling and knew what it was and could talk to you about wrestling. And that might have something to do with it. Is they're like, they're hiring people from like soap opera writers and stuff like that probably didn't. They got rid of that woman that said she didn't know who any of the people were on the roster.
And that's because she went public with it. Because
she went public with it.
Yeah, they literally posted an NXT writer listing, and it says on there, knowledge of WWE's audience, a plus, but not required. It says that on their job listing, that it is not required, for have knowledge of WWE's audience. Like,
yeah, and so it's like they're trying to take a stance on that, like, oh well, we took care of that, but yet that's what they wanted in the first place. They know that. That's just like a stupid reaction to the internet being upset about it, but yet that's not going to change how they build their creative team, I don't think at all. And I think until they do that, you're not going to get a change in how they, script the end of the matches and how, like what you just said, like the same shit that we see over and over and over and over again. We're going to keep seeing it because, they don't know anything better. They don't know better.
See, that's the thing that interests me. I don't even mind that approach if you're going to do it correctly. So, like, what I mean is, you know what, man? If you want to get out of the wrestling bubble and you want to get this audience that's apparently out there of people that don't like wrestling but want to watch WWE, if you're going to go for that, like, actually do it, So if you're going to hire writers, let them write. Actually let them write, because let's be honest, we know we've watched enough of that show to know that whether those writers are educated on wrestling or not, they're not going to chance to write many storylines because the stories they're telling on their TV are not good. And, it's like Bray Wyatt's such an interesting example of this, where Bray Wyatt was not critically well received from a lot of his career in our circles, right? Like, I know that he won, he got voted worst gimmick and all that stuff, and that's fine. Like, I don't like that stuff, so I understand. It definitely connected with their audience, though, right? So if you're not even focusing on the wrestling bubble, then when you get a character like Bray who's like just intellectual property everywhere, you can do all this weird shit with Bray Wyatt. Do it, like actually write a story. If you literally want to make Bray Wyatt your horror movie portion of a professional wrestling show, then do the bare minimum and write an actual cohesive story from start, middle, and end. Rather than doing this stuff that isn't wrestling and is weird and doesn't fit, but treating it like it's wrestling, changing finishes and like, because, that's the other thing here is it's one thing if you don't want to appeal to a dork like me. I understand that. I get that completely. You have to appeal, there's still like an objective good and bad there. I can sit there and say Bray Wyatt's not for me, but it's getting over. That's no use if you fire him after 4 months of absence because you beat him at WrestleMania for no reason. Like if you're going to hire writers, let them write. I mean, I agree with you completely, Kaz. Like I think a product for you and I, we would prefer it be a wrestling mind booking show, right? But if you're gonna get writers in, then they cannot be getting charged and bullied around by a guy in his 70s who's still looking at his wrestling show, even though he doesn't know he's doing it that way. If they're going to write stories, then there has to be some good ones on the show.
I mean, who knows what they have written? How many times do we see that the scripts get ripped up the day of and then completely reworked 3 or 4 times before the show? You know what I mean? So it's like, what were they doing for the whole week for you anyway if you're just going to wrap it up and not want to do it? And then how can you build off that too? When it's like, how am I going to write a storyline that is extended over a period of time when I don't even know if it's going to make it to the air in 4 hours, And so how can you plan down the road when your shit's not going to make it to the air tonight even, So that's
where the clash gets interesting because I can't remember her name, so I apologize, but there was a writer that was credited for the Mandy Otis stuff. This is the perfect example, okay? And I apologize. I think she was one of the writers that was unfortunately let go, and that's why it became a story.
She was, and that's why I don't know exactly what you're talking. I can't remember her name either.
So you have this story.
Andrea Listenberger.
There you go. So you have a story there that I, as a wrestling fan, can happily say that was not for me. That's not what I personally watch wrestling for. However, it definitely got over, and I can set the appeal of it. Cool. Okay, so you finished that story. Unfortunately, it didn't have a full stadium of people watching on. I get that completely. But then if the wrestling show is going to refuse to capitalize on both characters that it actually elevated, what is the point of the story? Because Mandy, I mean, she's doing NXT now, and that's just great, whatever. But, like, there was no follow-up for Mandy. She got put in a tag team with, well, I guess they did the Sonya thing. I apologize. But then eventually she ends up back in a team with Dana Brooke, and it's like, Otis he wins Money in the Bank and then turns heel because they decide they don't want him to actually be, the world champion, which, again, and this is where I kind of get to is like, it really feels like, and it's such a simple talking point, and I really roll my eyes when others do it, but I'm about to do it myself. Let's be honest, man. It starts at the top. Dudes, you don't put the Money in the Bank briefcase on a guy that you don't think can be the world champ. I'm sorry. You just don't do that. And unfortunately, it doesn't matter how many talented people are underneath. If that top brain is doing all sorts of weird shit just to pop himself, you can end up with that product they've got right now. I know that's like a cynical conclusion, but like it kind of feels like the truth, right?
Joseph, you mentioned like building up goodwill and trust with the audience and how it could take years. And like I agree with you because they run the same stuff into the ground. They're doing rematches. I mean, we just saw this Queen's Crown tournament where the entire tournament lasted less than 20 minutes. And it's like the fans who want to care have no reason to invest in this stuff. Raw has ended in a DQ for 3 straight weeks. And like they've been good matches all leading to that. And then you come out with like a non-finish. So you're running off wrestling fans with like, all right, you're not giving us a satisfying conclusion to these matches by doing these lame finishes, or you're doing the same matches and stuff. If you're trying to appeal to a wider like soap opera fan base or whatever, obviously wrestling is going to be a part of that. I still think they want conclusions to this stuff. Yeah. Like if I'm watching a show, I don't want a Sopranos ending every single episode of the show. It's going to piss me off by the end of it. It's like, okay, there's a cliffhanger, or there was this great episode and then there was no payoff to it. You keep doing this week after week after week after week, and it's like, I'm not going to watch this show anymore.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I think that Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks are mega stars. I think they're 2 of the biggest stars, probably 2 of the top 5 to 10 stars in all of wrestling. They did not lose in the demo to Punk and Sydal because they're lesser stars necessarily. They lost because there was definitely a portion of that audience that realized, whatever. And ironically, from what I know, that match had a finish of some kind. So
it had Bianca hit Becky's hand with like her braid, and then it was an actual, and then Banks hit the bank statement and got the win. So as far as clean finishes go, that's about as clean as you're going to get in a big time.
And that's fine
on television.
But even if you remove the finish, imagine the rating those 2 women could do if that match felt somewhat special within the framing of their television. Now, from what I can gather, the match was special because they're so damn good.
Joseph is frozen.
It's a great match. Like that?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I'm glad they had a great match. Like, no problem with that. The problem is when you have that group of talent wrestling on TV in 20-minute matches so often against each other, there is less spectacle to it, you know? And it reflects poorly on them because it's like, well, they didn't outdraw CM Punk versus Matt Sydal. It's like, that's not really what happened there, though. If CM Punk, let's be really honest, man, if CM Punk had gone back to WWE, it would have been a great moment, but like, he wouldn't feel as unique as he does in AEW. And I know some people don't even think he feels that unique there, but like,
and he knew that. That's why he wasn't ever going back.
Yeah.
In their system, it's just like if I'm not saying this is ever going to happen, but if you had a Sasha Banks in AEW, like you don't even realize the shit they could do with a star of that caliber. Like then when they went to Boston, it would be like this epic thing. And when WWE goes, it's like, who can she lose to tonight, guys? You know, it's hard. I think the talent. I do think it's like AEW's actually got a legitimately, arguably a better roster now. But never take that as me dismissing the talent that works out there. They're incredible. Unfortunately, they're cogs on the wheel, and like if the wheel's not turning too good, it reflects badly on them, which isn't fair. It's a shame.
Cass, any thoughts?
Well, like they used to. I mean, so what was it like when you had Shawn and Brett in their heyday? They kept them apart because they didn't want them to be in the ring against each other over and over again because it wouldn't feel special. So that when they finally did meet, it was that big, huge moment. And it's like they totally abandoned that mindset that obviously worked. And now you get what you see. Where it's, I didn't even watch SmackDown. Like I watched Rampage instead. Honestly, you know, because I knew that like I probably was going to see stuff on Rampage that I hadn't seen before, and you know how many rematches were going to be on SmackDown for the night, or I could just watch Twitter and not really feel like I missed anything. So
that's the other thing that's I didn't realize this show was going to become this, but it's quite interesting. We're all kind of just figuring it out as we go here. The other thing that's interesting is, with WWE, like increasingly kind of their thing has always been, and I get it, like they're closed off, right? Like they do their thing, the WWE universe under our umbrella is what matters. I get that, that's fine. But when you have AEW doing the opposite, there is this complete difference in vibe that it's very hard to like capture with words. And the perfect example is Suzuki just been announced for YouTube on like 2 days' notice. That's something that WWE just doesn't have in their arsenal. Because they don't refer to the wrestling world that way. The only example I can think of that's even vaguely comparable is to NXT TakeOver Brooklyn booking Liger just like as though they're just like some random wrestling show. Like we're just going to book Jushin Liger, and it was great. But there you go, NXT. You know, well, I need to say to that.
Yes, and I think they could not to the level of this because it's different promotions. I think they could do this a little bit if they actually stuck to like a brand split and everything, because you could then be like, if it's been years and years, and then like a Roman is going to be on Raw, like, okay, this is a big deal. Or an NXT guy. Remember when NXT invaded SmackDown? I know that was different circumstances and stuff, but like it felt like a big deal with everything. And it's not necessarily just because it was the invasion and whatnot. It's like, oh man, these NXT guys, they're going to be on the main roster. We haven't seen these guys. We haven't seen these matches before. Danielson and Cole, like, we hadn't seen that. It felt unique because Cole had always been in NXT. Danielson had always been in the on the main roster. If you actually keep a unique brand, and even within all in the WWE universe stuff, like when Walter shows up at NXT, it doesn't feel like a big deal now, but like the first couple of times, it was like, oh man, here comes Walter coming over to the United States. Like it could feel like a big deal if they didn't do, you know, oh, here's brand to brand invitation, or we need to pop a rating, so we're going to send this person over here. Like,
well, in addition, you would have to, and this is, and to his credit, this is a Bischoff thing that he's always said, and he's absolutely correct. The brands have got to be more unique, man.
Yeah.
You know, Raw and SmackDown have to be formatted differently. They have to look differently. They have to have a different kind of talent. You maybe put the more kind of personalities on one show. You put the workers on the other show. You start SmackDown with a match. You start Raw with a promo. Whatever it may be, you need to completely divorce them from each other so that when a guy jumps over to the other one, there's this sort of appeal and spectacle that you get when, you know, Kenta shows up at Dynamite. Because like, well, this is weird. This feels different. That's so like WWE is nowhere near that kind of vibe, right? Like it feels like red and blue, the exact same. And here's the thing: I understand SmackDown has been better for the last year or so. I get that. I'm not talking about quality. I'm talking about the actual way the show is presented, to me, they've been identical forever. Like,
and that's what NXT was too. It was like they had a basic generic format, and as soon as NXT went to USA, they're like, "All right, here's how we're going to run the show. It's promo, man. It's the same shit."
Yeah.
So
It's just difficult. I don't know. And look, I think as much as a wrestling nerd, it pops me the Forbidden Door stuff. But I do get why. Like, I understand why WWE does the stuff the way it did, especially back once upon a time. Boy, does it feel outdated though now, man. Like, I just don't. When you compare it to the way like a Daniel Garcia came onto AEW TV, and they was just like, yeah, he just had a 60-minute time limit draw with Wheeler Yuta. He's one of the top independent wrestlers. Like, well, that helped everyone, didn't it? The independent wrestling scene became healthier for that. Daniel Garcia felt like a big deal, which then helps AEW because he's on their television. That is so much better than signing a guy, having him in a warehouse for 6 months, changing their name, and then going, he's traveled the world. He's traveled the world.
You weren't looking forward to Dante Rios in WWE, Joseph?
I'm not even going to comment on that because I don't know who that is. I'm sorry.
Really?
Yeah.
Dante Rios is Daniel Garcia. He did a match. They did a match in NXT in February. He was named Dante Rios. They filed the trademark for Dante Rios. I don't know if they thought he was going to sign or whatever, but like they filed the trademark for that, and that was going to be his WWE name.
There you go. All right.
There you go.
I'll say this. I think it's a very interesting pivot that they're not like actively seeking the independent guys. Because when you see AEW officially sign Garcia and Moriarty in 1 week, and over the last 2 months they've signed, Cole, Punk, Bryan, it's like, I personally wouldn't want them to be getting every great, talent of tomorrow. Now, you can create guys. Bron Breakker looks like he's going to be really good, and that's awesome. So a lot of these NXT things are like, they're just full gimmicks. And that's cool. You need gimmicks on the card, but like, they're not,
that's when it goes back to they're just appealing to a different kind of audience, and they're trying to appeal to a more, not as much a wrestling audience. They're trying to get mainstream audiences of, hey, we're telling stories, we have characters and everything. But
you still need main eventers, though.
Well,
who's
Tony
going to be?
D'Angelo is the main eventer.
I think Tony D'Angelo looks awesome. I think he's a really fun character. He's not main event in WrestleMania. I know, Tony, if you're watching this and you main event WrestleMania, I apologize. I'm very sorry. But I don't mean as a dismissal of you. You're doing the best job you can. That role is fun. Like, you need stuff like that on wrestling, Like, absolutely. But you do need, like, guys that can be top guys. And I'm looking at, I look at the roster, I see Big E. I see Roman. That's what I see. The women's side's actually stronger. Yeah, I don't. That's whatever. There's actually more on the women's division. I think has more talent that I consider main event talent than the male side, which is awesome in one way, but it's definitely an indictment of the other side also. We're being honest, but whatever.
Cass, who do you see from NXT 2.0 as a future WrestleMania main eventer when he takes on Tony D'Angelo at WrestleMania 43?
So the only people I know from we got Steiner's kid. So Bron Breakker, that guy, I don't know anybody from it. I've made it through like 10 minutes of the show, man. Like I try, and I'm like, baseball on, and I'll like turn to something, and I turn to something.
Harlan, the former Parker Boudreaux.
Bron Breakker's good. I like him. I like him.
I like that guy.
I think everybody likes
fucking name.
I'm trying to name.
Yeah, the name's tough. Yeah,
I think another example of just let him be Rex Steiner. Like you had it. You had that right there. You had it for like 24 hours, and then you're just like, Bron Breakker with 2K.
I like Eli Drake or fucking
what
stupid NXT name did they give him?
LA Knight.
LA Knight. God damn it.
He's good. I actually surprised he's not been called up. I think they're not going to main event WrestleMania. They're probably going to be the WWE Tag Team Champions at some point, though, right?
Bron Breakker?
No. I forget they're poor guys. I forget their name every time. I'm very sorry. The Creed Brothers. Yeah. They're really good. I really like those guys. So there's definitely talent there. I think, I look at most of them and say, God, I'd like to see them elsewhere, but that's life. You can't have everything you want, You
don't see it. Yeah, Jeremy Bauman mentions Carmelo Hayes. I think
he's
Carmelo
great.
Hayes,
yes.
Yeah. Like if he doesn't main event a WrestleMania and I'm honestly not sure he will, unfortunately. Like, something probably goes wrong, and I think something probably goes wrong unless there is this shift that we were talking about. Because I think Carmelo Hayes, he's a great talent, he's a good talker, and I listened to a lot of his interviews and stuff this week. Very smart guy, and he carries himself very well. Carries himself like a star too, which obviously matters as well.
That's a great suggestion. Actually, I completely agree with that. I think he's one that can actually do it. It's again that thing about faith. You're going to have to, the main roster is going to have to prove to the audience again that they can make these guys connect. I was talking on last night about this. I hadn't seen some of the War Games matches they've done in NXT. I know they're very polarizing, and I watched them, and I'm not a big fan. But guys, you got to go back and look at the people that are in these War Games matches and see where they're at now. It's fascinating, I mean, like, one of the years, the top baby faces are like the Viking Raiders, Ricochet, and Pete Dunne. And it's like, well, Pete Dunne's in the exact same spot. Ricochet and the Viking Raiders are like, and I mean this with nothing but love to those two, but I mean, they're pretty low on the totem pole, it seems. So,
they're television bodies. Like,
he's the man on main event, though, Ricochet. Is he still?
Yeah, well, maybe, I don't know. It's just tough.
I don't think we get that show in America, do we? Unless we watch.
It's on Hulu. Just turn on Hulu,
Is it?
Cass. Yeah, it's on Hulu.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. For Josh, 4 or 5 Wits says, what are we talking about with the time frame on this stuff? Probably about 5 years. Brock and Roman are going to main event WrestleMania at least 3 more times in the next 5 years. So after about this 5-year period, I think that's when you'll see, hopefully, Carmelo Hayes against Braun Breaker in the main event.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. The Roman thing is a challenge in itself because you have to, he has to make a top babyface. It's kind of the idea of the top heel. And I'm sure that he's aware of that. And I think there's some people that know that, but whether they actually get around to doing it, no clue. If the top babyface is Brock Lesnar, then good luck. That's what I'll say. Because that's where the story's going. And to me, listen, I think Brock Lesnar is one of the greatest pro wrestlers. I genuinely mean it. I think he's one of the most exciting, unique pro wrestlers ever. Greatest was too strong, but exciting and unique I'll go with, okay? He has become such a crutch for that product. And if he is the babyface that defines Roman Reigns, I don't know, man. To me, that's just so indicative of all of the issues. But that's just my take.
Speaking of crutches for the product, Robert O'Neill is here. Hello, Robert O'Neill.
You bringing this son of a bitch in here after that Atlanta bullshit comment to me the other night?
You guys got beef after
I'm about to walk out.
Hey man, they're probably fine, right? They got it this year.
I'm so nervous, bro.
No good team has ever blown a 3-1 lead. That'd be fine.
Why did Bob's music not get played?
I just brought him on. He's not doing the corner 3 yet, so he's here.
Okay.
Can we just play it?
History final.
There. You feel
hey,
better?
Bob. How you doing, Bob?
I'm good, Joseph. How are you?
You sleep any after hours? Oh, you left early last night, right? Coward.
Yeah.
Stayed there for another 3 hours and talk shop about the business.
I figured.
Yeah.
But
he doesn't love it like you do. I don't guess.
Thanks. He's a bootlicker. Okay, Bob, what are you talking about today?
I don't know. Jeremy told me I was talking about Crown Jewel, so
you can talk about whatever you want, O'Neill.
I didn't watch Road to the Top this week. We talked about the.
Did you see that did a better demo rating than NXT 2.0?
I did. That's very funny though.
See, that's where ratings talk is objectively funny, right? Like if that upsets you and it doesn't seem funny to you, probably time to look in the mirror a little bit because that is fucking hilarious.
Well, the new NXT writer post, they're looking for a writer who can, help appeal to the young demographic. Joseph.
Bob, have you applied?
No,
wrestling
I should.
Knowledge is not.
Should I apply?
No, there you go. Cass is right. Wrestling knowledge isn't needed, Bob. You'll be
not
fine.
needed. You're good.
I'm gonna apply. I think I'm gonna apply. Just see what happens. I don't have any of the experience they're looking for, but that's probably gonna hold me back.
Are they really looking for? They're not looking for knowledge. Why are they really looking for experience?
They're looking for people who have worked in television and written sitcoms and all that stuff. I mean, I've booked the greatest angle of all time, but I had a lot of help and good performers, and I'm trying to book another great angle, but some of my talent let me down today.
Look, man, you got to prep me better. You pull me in here's what I want you to do. As I'm like, hold on, what am I doing?
This is what I do for everybody. This is what I do for everybody, Cass. You got to learn to adapt. This is how it works.
You got to know what you're working with too. You got to know that I'm not the sponge that I used to be, bro.
The thing is, like, you nailed the first part, and then you completely bit
had it till I did it.
the
I had it till I
closing
didn't
part.
have it. Yeah. I totally blanked, man.
My God, I don't know if that's Bob or Cass. That dog just appeared. I don't know.
Yeah,
Mine are laying in the floor over here.
It's
They're
always Bob, man.
Yeah.
Look at Bob.
O'Neal, you ready?
Yeah, I don't have anything to talk about, and I guess
Crown Jewel, WWE
Yeah,
Crown Jewel.
The Bulls won last night.
Yes,
in 3 minutes, O'Neal. Like, you can't riff for 3 minutes.
No,
You're
it's
supposed to
fine.
be a professional at this.
Start
Here
the
we
clock.
go.
His three-pointer, bang!
Yeah, so we'll start with the Chicago Bulls, the currently tied for the best record in the NBA. I was wrong about them not playing any defense. I might have just been they played Detroit and didn't have Cade Cunningham, but they looked pretty good defensively last night. Couldn't hit shots for the first half, but Zach LaVine's got to realize when he needs to take over, man. They had a point in the game where like Vucevic and DeMar DeRozan were combined 10 for 30, and Zach LaVine had like 8 shots, and that can't happen. Win's a win. Move on. So Crown Jewel, I mean, listen, I thought, just as a pure wrestling show, which I know that's not the best way to look at it, it was a good show. I like the Edge and Seth match a lot. I think, maybe if they didn't do 8 Hell in a Cell matches in the past year, it would have meant more, but I think they did what they could with the cell, and I don't always like bringing extra weapons into it, but they did well with that too. Mansoor and Ali had a really good match. Didn't like the tag title match a lot. Didn't really ever get going. Trying to remember what else was on this show. The King of the Ring was cool how it ended. I'm glad Woods won. He really meant a lot to him. You love to see that. The Queen's Crown kind of, is what it is. The women's triple threat was weird because I really liked it at first, and then I felt like it kind of slowed down a little too much, and then it kind of picked back up at the end, but they're also in a situation where they're probably just going to do a stupid title swap again, which, like, I don't know. Who's that?
Who could have saw that coming, huh?
Yeah, I know. But, like, the thing is, though, and, like, at least with the New Day and Street Profits, it made a little bit of sense, but for Becky and Charlotte to just do it, it's bad, man. And then, Brock and Roman, I think it was their best match since WrestleMania 31. I mean, it's a kind of a low bar, but, I was really excited for it going in. Probably 2 of my favorite wrestlers at the moment. And I think they delivered, I'm fine with them running it back at the Rumble because I'm going to be there. And then, Joseph, just kind of getting into what you were talking about before I came on, like, Brock doesn't need to be champion right now. That's what I'm worried about, that they're going to make him the guy that beats Roman, and that's just not something that helps anyone.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, and I mean, like, it's alarming because, the thought's always there. I thought he was going to win today. I wouldn't say alarming, maybe, but,
Of all the things that are alarming about this program, it's not going that direction.
I forgot about Lashley and Goldberg, which was also very good. And that's how you should use Goldberg, I think. If you're
Who won that match, Bob?
That was won by Bill Goldberg.
Clean?
I mean, he speared him off the ramp through a table, yeah. So it was fine. I mean, like, those shows kind of are what they are from a wrestling standpoint, but I think this one, from an in-ring standpoint, was the best one they've done so far, and it was cool having something to watch on a Thursday afternoon.
Fair.
That has been Robert O'Neal's corner.
How's he not gonna?
His three-pointer, bang!
He missed some big things out of that Crown Jewel rundown, though. He didn't even talk about the New Day's Fuji's inspired the Score album gear. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Or
I didn't
the
expect him to
camels.
talk about that, actually.
Or the camels. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I don't know. My favorite bit of that was when Bob said it's about Woods, and he went, "You love to see that. You love to see that."
You do.
It was good to see Xavier get that.
Oh, he's wonderful, and I'm glad they did that, because it would have been awful for Finn to take the heat from beating.
Yeah.
Like that would have been terrible. I'm glad he won.
And that was definitely something everyone was worried about, that they were going to try to do something like that. Hey, look, they gave us something like we wanted, and everyone rejoiced. Funny how that kind
Can't
of
be pleased, those wrestling fans. Let me tell you, they just cannot be pleased. Now, look, this is. I don't know if this is the show I have this conversation, but fuck it, let's just have it. I get, like, I have no issue with people watching these shows. I've watched them before. I've covered them before. I get it, and like, especially a show like this, I completely get that the card was like strong, and it seems like the talent really rocked it, and like they're doing their job. It's great. So I didn't talk about it tonight because of like I was trying to take a moral high ground. I just didn't really want to watch the show. So I just want to be clear about it because we did not make Bob talk about it like to be an arse to him. Like he said, we spoke about it before. He said he was going to watch it. So like, you can talk about Crown Jewel. I said after the last paper, I was probably going to try and keep these a miss in future because so I don't have to come on here and whine every week, which I've done this week anyway, which is not ideal. But yeah, I don't know, Bob. You can speak to it, but like it's.
Well, no, and I get that. And again, I have no problem with people, not watching it. I personally this is the first one that I've worked from home for. So it's just nice having something on in the background. Like I haven't gone back and watched like start to finish the ones that I was working for. So that was part of it too. Just like, have something on instead of, what I'd usually have on, which is whatever other wrestling. But
yeah, no, I get it. It's some of the best wrestlers in the world at like this sort of weird start time. It's accessible. I get all. I understand it. So I just wanted to say that because I didn't want it to seem like we just kind of threw this grenade at Bob and was like, "You talk about it, you bootlicker." That wasn't the case. So I just didn't watch it. That's all.
Yeah,
you missed out on an Olympic karate player. According to
sorry to hear that. Yeah,
I
actually am sorry to hear that. Well, did he kick the shit out of Bob Lashley?
No, he kicked Ali.
What's a karate
He kicked
player?
Ali.
That is the correct term, I believe.
Yeah,
Is that the correct term?
Is
it
they use that in a lot of in Japan. They just call everybody like player, like the wrestler player. Like that's how they refer to everybody. So it's definitely a correct term. He kicked Ali after Mansoor beat Ali. Hey guys, by the way, if you send super chats, it all gets donated to charity. I know we didn't actually talk about like Crown Jewel outside of camels and
I just didn't watch it.
Yeah. But because of the Crown Jewel stuff, all the super chats are going to charity with this. So there you go.
Why I have to ask, like, why is Bill Goldberg beating Bobby Lashley?
Because it's Saudi Arabia and they like the old pop for the old
Bob
guys.
Lashley. Okay, look, I'm gonna be honest here.
I mean, they couldn't get Yokozuna again. They tried that one year, so I mean, might as well put Goldberg.
I don't actually care, and I'm glad Bob got his run, but it feels like he didn't get pinned for a year. And I see him get pinned in a 6-man tag at the last pay-per-view, and I was like...
It's pinned every week now.
Yeah.
They did this with AJ. I mean, AJ didn't have like a run on top, but like they didn't beat him for the longest time. And now they just... then he lost a couple singles match. Like, ever since he's gone with Omos, and then he gets...
I remember that, yeah.
And that stuff. But
at least
for the longest time.
At least with AJ... He can look, he can keep himself over, right? Like
sure.
you need to give guys like Bob some protection, man. They can't just. I don't know. I personally wouldn't have Bill Goldberg beat anyone. I just wouldn't have Bill Goldberg,
rough. Rough. Yeah, he got Lashley up there for the jackhammer. Bless him. Or Neil, what do you think of Bill Goldberg's performance? That's your second favorite wrestler.
It's probably his best match of the year, right? So he's got that going for him.
What other matches did he have this year?
And the Drew match and the other Lashley match.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's hypothesis. Like you said, 2 other.
You know what? Honestly, I think there is a place for Goldberg. The spectacle of his entrance is funny. Like, I'm for it. He shouldn't be beating Bobby Lashley. Get the fuck out of here. That's crazy talk. Like, I don't care how old Bob is. Bob's the man. Like, he was the world champion a couple months back. It's bullshit.
Yeah, we've talked about it. Like, he could have beat someone like Corbin or someone instead, and no one would care.
God forbid someone beats Corbin. Top heel for the last 3 years.
Like that was a good use of Goldberg.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah, he shouldn't.
Because it was comedic.
Right.
They used him like he was like a horror movie character. He kept appearing over and over again. Remember, it was good. It was good stuff. Like it was seeing an annoying character just get the shit kicked out of him by basically this sort of unstoppable force. The only reason you have a guy beat Bobby Lashley is because you're getting him ready to win the world title. And they're not doing that with Goldberg, I think. To be fair, they may actually be getting him ready to wrestle Big E, to be fair.
I do think, like, Rumble, they might do the Big E Goldberg match. Look, if he beats Big E, Jesus. But, it's a match that, it's a dream match for Big E. He wants it. He wants, the big meaty men slapping meat promo. Everyone loves that. You can do it at the Rumble. It's not going to take away from much, and it'll be fine. Well, you're not in on this, Joseph?
And Bob O'Neill will be at the Rumble, so you'll get to see.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
They did this. They did the last Rumble. They did the Goldberg title match.
Oh, this is what they do. We just talked about. They don't have new ideas. They don't have new ideas.
Obviously, you haven't paid attention to have a format.
At least this one makes, again, some sort of kind of sense that Big E wants it and everything.
Just do it on YouTube, man.
Sure.
Just do it on YouTube.
It's fine. It's fine.
Look, Big E and Goldberg, yeah, it'll be fun to watch, but the stuff like the Royal Rumble spot for a title contender can really like elevate a guy. And if you just keep giving it to Goldberg and other guys like that, you're not really doing much. But again, whatever, that's their prerogative. I don't care. TNA Bound for Glory is on Sunday. Bob O'Neill was buying it, aren't you, Bob?
Yes, absolutely.
Fake match. Okay, yeah, it's an even better question.
Card, O'Neill.
What's up? Sorry, I don't want to.
What's the main event of Bound for Glory?
Josh Alexander against Christian Cage for the Impact title.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. What's the X Division title match?
Oh, that's impossible. I don't know that.
Yeah, it's a handful of guys, and they have a battle royal. I saw Mickey and Deanna. I looked at the card a couple days ago. It doesn't look bad.
There you go, Mickey and Deanna.
Who are the Good Brothers wrestling?
They're not on the card. I
don't think
they're the tag team champions.
I don't know if they've been booked.
Hey,
yet.
Bob, what do you call the Good Brothers?
I call them the Bad Brothers.
You fucking bootlicker.
Anything else? We're Bound for Glory. Steven Jensen and I will be doing the post show at 1 a.m. in the morning. Come hang out with us.
Jeremy, it is interesting. Like, I love Christian Cage. Absolute legend. Great professional wrestler.
Better than
Vibes very different with him as champ as it was with Kenny, though.
Oh, yeah.
And people can dismiss Kenny Omega. God, I've done it before. But, like, I'm going to be honest. I was very defensive. I defended their partnership a lot. I think Impact probably should have had one of their guys beat Kenny Omega. I don't think it's going to be the same when Josh beats Christian.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think the biggest key is, like, add a guy or two this weekend that can actually be a player.
Braun for Glory.
Yeah, and I bless No Way Jose and the Drama King, both good talents, but like, need a guy that can be in the title picture and such. And I'm not going to comment on who that could be because people get very upset when I mention his name. So I'll just say it could be someone that was in WWE this year. That's all I'll say.
It's Braun. It's Braun Strowman.
It's not what I was thinking of, but yeah.
I know.
The only other guy that, yeah, we did. We did a lot. Holy shit!
My blind dog was.
We did a lot of
right.
Bud Matt bits around here, And I don't want to go back.
It'd be great. I don't know. I mean, he's going to be in New Japan Strong. That obviously isn't going to mean he can't work for Impact or anything or be an Impact guy.
I think he's going to be there, Jeremy.
All right, you've been saying this for about 3 months now. So
if you buy Bound for Glory for Buddy Matthews and he does not show up, Bob O'Neill will refund you.
There we go.
There you go.
Anybody watching GCW this weekend?
I will watch some of Bloodsport, and I will watch Gage and Suzuki because
War Ready is going to be good. We got Briscoes and Second Gear Crew, man. That's going to be
wild. Yeah,
that's going to be great. That was cool to be in Atlantic City when they showed up. I was not expecting that. My feud with them is over officially. I don't know if I've announced that yet, but they're
giving us the scoop.
Thanks,
they were
guys.
too nice. They were too nice to me when I saw them in Atlantic City. I was like, how can I be mad at these guys? They went out of their way to give me a hug and thank me for being there.
God bless.
I can't be mad. And it was hilarious because I got to watch this guy that was working for, I guess, the showboat. He had his little garbage cart, the garbage in the back of the gator, vehicle thing. And there was a truck in the way. And I was walking by to go to the back to get into the back to hang out with all the guys. And he was like, "Oh, is that your truck?" He was so excited thinking I was going to be getting in the truck and leaving. And I was like, "No, bro, that's not my truck." And he was so mad. He was like, God. He's like, "Oh, man." He sat there for like 2 hours and couldn't get around this truck. Fast forward about 12 hours later, when the president in the building were still not back, and they come and say goodbye to us, hop in that truck and then drive away. So that guy was mad at Briscoe's truck blocking him for the whole
Good
day. I was like, that's fantastic. I was like, yeah, I get it. See, he's gonna have. I'm with you, man. I have had that kind of feud, but I buried it. We're good. We're good now. They were nice to me. So.
There's a lot of talk in the chat about Shibata. I only saw like a clip of it, so I didn't want to. But I mean,
I fell asleep. I meant to try to watch that.
I just
until like 10 minutes before the show started at like 4:30 in the morning and fell asleep at like I think it was like 4:15 was the last thing I saw on my clock. So I didn't even get a chance to see it yet either.
I never do the wrestling doctor thing. I just hope he's good, you know.
Yeah, he did a surprise exhibition match against Zack Sabre Jr. I was watching it this morning. I will comment on a couple of New Japan stuff because I watched the finals of the A block, B block, and then tonight the G1 actual finals. I thought Ibushi and Okada was kind of a safe choice for when they could have done something maybe a little bit more daring without the crowds and whatnot. But I'm not going to complain about Ibushi and Okada. Unfortunately, Ibushi looked like he, according to Kevin Kelly, kind of dislocated his shoulder. So that's not good. He missed a Phoenix Splash and they had to stop the match. Tough. I hope Ibushi is okay. I imagine he will be out months.
They took the ropes down, right? So they could get him out. They took the ropes down so they could get him out, right?
Yeah, they had to get him out of there. I don't know if they took the ropes down.
I think I saw that.
I
think I saw that this morning.
But yeah, that was tough. But the Shibata thing was a big surprise that happened. And he did an exhibition match with Zack Sabre, and he looked good. He obviously didn't take a bump or anything. Just a lot of grappling stuff and submission holds. And then he said the next time it'll be a real match. Could he do a tag team match? Potentially. I don't know. We'll find out.
When he was at his peak, he was incredible. He's one of the most just striking he was exciting, but there was a real drama to his stuff. And I just hope physically he's good and like whatever he does or doesn't do, that it's not just, you know, I hope it goes through more people than just him, is what I'm saying basically. Like, and again, you guys know me. I'm not the dude to come on here and be like safety police about wrestling. They're adults, whatever. But it's, you know, that was pretty. It stuck with me, that whole deal. That Okada match, like that headbutt sound was sickening, man. You know, and then the story and everything that followed was brutal. So, yeah, I don't know. I hope he's good, and if he does wrestle, I'll probably watch it and just sit there nervously the whole time, which is not usually my thing, but that feels different to me. I don't know.
Guys, we're gonna wrap up here. No post show. It is late. I feel like Joseph wants to sleep. I
won't even sleep. I'll try and then give up. I coward.
Yeah, you'll be on latenightgrin.com and just.
Oh, I hope
not. No post show, but you can go over to youtube.com/Fightful Distraction. There's some new content, some gaming uploads from Twitch. SP3 and Phil Lindsay and I did a NBA podcast that Joseph missed and got suspended from the YouTube channel for at least a week. So you won't see Joseph on the YouTube channel through the weekend.
Very Ben Simmons of him.
Yeah, that's what happens, man. He said complaining about a back injury now. Tough, just tough.
Incredible. Back injury. God bless.
So you can go over there. You can go to twitch.tv/Fightful Gaming. I believe Joe Pearl and Steven Jensen are going to be playing Mario Kart here in about 10 minutes. So you can go over there, check them out, watch that. O'Neal, where can the people find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Robert O'Neal 31.
All right. Good talk, O'Neal. Cass.
Yeah, man. Where can you find me? I don't know, man. I'm all over the place, bro. What about it? You can watch me get chopped. That's what I want people to do. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let's search Body Slam Net Pro Wrestling on YouTube. Look for us. You can find me getting chopped. I got like 6 more episodes in the can to put out. I think everybody will like them. I think it'll be fun. We got some other good stuff. I don't know if you've seen my newest correspondent, Lucy.
I have seen Lucy. It. You sent it to me as an exclusive.
Bro, she's amazing. She's gonna take all the jobs. She's gonna take all the
tremendous.
Jobs. So watch that too. She puts out some good stuff. The next one starts finishing moves. She climbs a ladder and jumps off into piles of leaves.
My God,
it's insane. It's insane. But yeah, you can follow me on. You can find me on. I'll send it to you for sure. Yeah, definitely. I think I'll put that one up Friday. Is it tomorrow? Yeah, so probably.
It'll be tomorrow. Yeah.
Dude, imagine that, me not knowing something, what day it is or where I am. Shocked.
Joseph.
What do I do? Okay, so tomorrow, latenightgrin.com. We're going to be doing. Jeremy, you're there for that one, right? We're gonna be
tomorrow is the booking episode. I will be there. Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna be picking some announcers, some managers, and then we're gonna be booking broadly a territory that involves about 200 wrestlers at this point because we never stopped drafting. We just kept going. So that's tomorrow. That'll be after Rampage on latenightgrin.com. You can go. Is Bob still here?
No.
You can go to latenightgrinshop.com and get your boot leather enthusiast shirt in tribute to Robert O'Neill, or your get what you get, I suppose, or you're sorry to hear that shirt. All of the above, really. You can do that stuff. And other than that, yeah, I think next Monday we'll be on the Fightful. Well, I don't know if I'm allowed because I'm suspended, but my intention is to be on the Fightful Distraction channel. We'll do the same thing we did this week, right? We did the AEW weekend review. We'll do that on Monday. So there's a lot of good stuff coming up, folks. We appreciate you sticking with us, even on nights like tonight where we get on late because the WWF apparently run a wrestling event.
Yeah, unfortunately. Guys, thank you guys for joining us. We will be back next week when we'll have some sense of normalcy to this show because AEW will be back on Wednesdays and we won't have to talk about the WWE and their failures as much. I appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you guys later on.
I'm sick of this. I'm over being ignored. I gave him a chance to make it right. Truly. I'm calling the EP. Hey. We have to talk about Jeremy.